Welcome back to my channel. My name's Ashton, and today we are going to be talking about my study abroad experience and what my top 5 places you should stop at if you're going on a New Zealand road trip. So this was very hard because I have been to so many places in New Zealand and I could barely narrow it down to 5. It was very difficult, so I may be leaving some out and I may just make another video because every place in New Zealand was amazing. So, to begin, I should tell you a background. I did study abroad February 2020 to August 2020, and it was the best experience of my life. I went to University of Auckland, and because of the coronavirus, the schooling went online. So I actually had to do online school, which was in the end very beneficial because I decided to move out of residence and get a car and just road trip the whole country with my friends. So I got to see pretty much the whole country. Well, not the whole country, but we went from Queenstown back up to Auckland. So we missed the North Shore, but it was, everything that I saw was so beautiful. So that's the background. I lived there for about 6 months. And it was the greatest time of my life. Best country in the world. So it's going to be hard to beat that. And the list is on my phone and points I want to say. So if I'm looking down, that's why. So I'm going to start with my 5th recommendation. And that would be Coromandel. So Coromandel was so beautiful. I can't believe I'm putting it as number 5, but I don't know how else to do it. Coromandel was incredible. I went there twice. After our New Zealand lockdown number 1, our first trip was back to Coromandel. In Coromandel for the first trip, we went to Cathedral Cove, which is actually where Narnia is set for some of it. And it is so beautiful. And then we also did Hot Water Beach, which it was getting a little chilly and we didn't really hit the hot water. We just kind of used a pre-made water hole that kind of had warm water. It wasn't very good, but the ocean was beautiful and it was a very rainy day that day, but it was still so beautiful. So I definitely recommend that. Just swimming in the ocean and enjoying the walk to Cathedral Cove, even in the rain and the mist, was magical. And actually, Coromandel was when we received the email that we were going into lockdown like 24 hours later. So we were at Hot Water Beach and we decided to just enjoy the ocean and enjoy nature for as long as humanly possible before we had to drive back to Auckland. So it was a very magical place and it kind of set the tone for the rest of the trip because everything kind of changed after that. So Coromandel was beautiful, and the second time we went around was after lockdown, like I said, and we went to the Coromandel pinnacles, the summit pinnacles. It was like, I think a 7 or 8 hour hike, and it was very slippery and long and all that, but it was so beautiful. And yeah, it was just incredible. Hiking in New Zealand slowly became my very favorite hobby. They have the most beautiful landscapes. And then number 4, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but number 4 I'm putting as Queenstown. And I absolutely love Queenstown. I think it's not like super, super high because it's kind of like a ski resort town, and because I'm from Canada, it wasn't as like different. Like there was sometimes snow and it was colder, but it just kind of felt like Blue Mountain or Whistler, but it was so, so beautiful and so amazing. We did this Queenstown Hill walking track, and I thought it was just going to be a walking track, but we got to this beautiful peak and we got to see all of Queenstown. We saw where our Airbnb was. We saw all of the beautiful mountains, and it was just amazing. I would also recommend going to the luge on the top of the Queenstown Hill. It's definitely not what it's called, but the luge was really fun. It's nothing like out of the ordinary, but it was super fun. And you can see all of Queenstown from up there, and there's like a nice little cafe. And then right by the luge is the Kiwi and Bird Life Park. We saw super cool birds and wildlife, and we got to see some kiwis. And what I find super fascinating about New Zealand is that their like animal parks or animal sanctuaries are truly sanctuaries, especially for their kiwis, because they really do just want to protect the kiwis, and when they aren't as vulnerable anymore, they will put them back into nature. So they're basically just trying to protect them and make sure they can survive through vulnerable times. And then the next place is Coronet Peak within Queenstown that you have to go. I actually went skiing there at Canada Day evening for New Zealand. And I don't know what they were celebrating in New Zealand, but there were fireworks and everything. So I was personally celebrating Canada Day, but I don't know what they were celebrating. But yeah, so partying and skiing at Coronet Peak was so cool and so fun. And we were all dancing in our ski boots, and it was really, really good. And then the very last thing in Queenstown that you should do is onsen hot pools. It was very, very relaxing after an exam period. Got a massage, we got to have our own private hot tub and drinks, and it was very relaxing. So if you want a spa day, go check them out as well. And then there's tons of shops and tons of great bars. So just go to like the center of Queenstown and you'll fall in love with the bar and the social life. Okay, and then number 3 is Taupo or Taupo. I've heard people say it so differently, but yeah, Taupo. I'll put it on the screen always. But that was the first trip that I actually went on, and it made me super excited for the trip, whereas I was super nervous at first. And I made a great group of friends, and it was kind of like my big initiation into New Zealand. And it was so fun. We went on this beautiful 7-8 hour hike. I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's called Tongariro Alpine Crossing. I can't say it, but it was so amazing. We left at like 3 in the morning to go hiking, and it was so good. I didn't hike before New Zealand, so this was a big jump, and it was the most amazing views, and I fell in love with hiking there. It was so beautiful. And then also before the hike in Taupo or Taupo, we went on this amazing boat tour. And if I can find the company, I will. But just, I guess, search boat tours in Taupo or Taupo on Lake Taupo. And we got to see Maori carvings, and we got to, in the middle, we didn't realize they were going to stop and we could swim, and none of us had swimsuits. So we all just kind of went in our clothes and got soaking wet, and it was really fun and a great bonding experience. And we didn't really know each other before the trip, so it just felt it was really good and really cool, because it was just a really fun experience with people we never really met before yet, and it was a good experience to start the trip. And then we have number 2, and that is Milford Sound, Milford Fjord, the Fjordlands. Yeah, I'm gonna call it Milford Sound for the sake of it, but basically it was like the most magical thing you would have ever seen. I know there's boat tours and everything like that, but me and my friends did canoeing, and honestly I think that was better, because I feel like a boat tour would be a little too fast. But with the canoeing, it was like such a large, beautiful like amount of water, and you're beside like mountains and glaciers, or the water was the glacier. It was just so amazing. You lost all sense of depth, distance, like everything. You were paddling for however long, but you felt like you didn't move at all, but you really moved so far. We got to see beautiful waterfalls. We saw amazing wildlife. We got to learn a ton. It was really, really cool, and it was like nothing I've ever seen before. It was so beautiful. And it was very hard to put this as number 2, but number 1 is it was crazy. So Milford Sound, Milford Fjord, whatever, is definitely number 2. You have to go there if you're going to New Zealand. It is amazing, and it should be one of the wonders of the world. We're saving the best for last. My number 1 recommendation is you must go to the Mount Cook National Park. Just end of story. You have to go. If there's one thing you're doing in New Zealand, you need to go to Mount Cook. It was amazing. First of all, we stayed in a little hostel. There's also like one apartment or like one hotel type, resort type thing. But we stayed in the hostel, and it's just as good. So we did the Hooker Valley Glacier Walk. It was so beautiful. I don't even know how to explain how amazing it was. Like, we went past hanging bridges. We walked over, I think it's 3, the famous 3 bridges. And then you end up at this beautiful glacier. It's like nothing like you've ever seen before. Some of them are like bright blue, some of them are clear, and like it's just solid ice, and insane because you see it slowly melting, which is very, very sad. I mean, you don't see it slowly melting, but you see where it has been and where it was like a full glacier, and now it's water, and it's kind of sad to see, but it is also extremely beautiful. And then in Mount Cook, I would also definitely recommend taking the helicopter ride and landing on the glacier and getting out and looking at Mount Cook National Park from the top of a mountain. It was so amazing. I'm terrified of helicopters, but it was so beautiful, and I'm so glad I did it. I get to look back on these amazing videos and pictures even though I was terrified in the moment, so highly recommend that as well. Also in Mount Cook, at the very end of the glacier walk, we threw ice and rocks down the glacier ice, and it made the coolest sounds. You'll see a lot of people doing that. It was very common for everyone to do. And then also we tasted glacier water, like fresh glacier water melting off the ice, which was so cool and like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was very sad, but it was also really cool. So yeah, Mount Cook was incredible and nothing like I've ever seen before, even though I'm surrounded by snow and ice in Canada. It was nothing. It was not even close to the same. So that was my top 5 must-sees in New Zealand. Number 1 being the thing you must see out of all of the 5. But I have so many more, and it's not even that 5 is the worst and 1 is the best. It's like I didn't know how to pick. So I'm so excited to make more study abroad videos. I fell in so much love with New Zealand, so I hope you take this into consideration if you're going to New Zealand, and I hope if you've been to New Zealand, you tell me your top 5 must-sees. Thank you.